오늘 발표 순서는 스템셀 메디슨을 시작으로 해서 알가헬스, 그다음에 아모피카를 세 번째로 하고 마지막으로 현재 지금 저는 한국에 있습니다. 그래서 한국에 같이 와 계신 마트리셀프에서 마지막으로 발표를 하는 것으로 오늘 행사를 진행토록 하겠습니다. 그러면은 첫 번째로 스템셀 메디슨의 발표가 있겠습니다. So Ayelet, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Ehud Maron, CEO and the chairman of Stem Cell Medicine and Mafi Pharma. About CV, you can see the last slide. Sorry that I cannot come to this important Korea meeting because I got a false positive Korea test. That means how it's important to have a good test and good medicine. Next. So what is about stem cell medicine investment and collaboration highlights? I built this company about 10 years ago for a neurological indication, including combination product with pharmaceuticals and antibodies that I take from my other companies. We have two lead products and technology. One of them is naive exosome for treating autism, ASD. And the second is a small molecule anti-BMP SM1 for remyelination in multiple sclerosis MS. My companies are experts in neurological diseases, and I even signed with one of the company Pharma to be collaboration and investment from Korea. We have a strong IP for all products, including licensed technology from leading research institute and hospitals in Israel, and some of the technology was developed in stem cell medicine. We have integrated R&D and GMP approved facilities for stem cells, exosomes, and of course, depot product that can be used also for Japan, Korea, China, Israel, Europe, and USA. Till now, this company, when I built the company, I raised $40 million that's used to buy technology, develop technologies, and building the GMP facility. Today, stem cell medicine is having income from CMO that cover the ongoing expenses, so we can live forever. But we are looking for investment for the new product to be in phase 2, because going from preclinical to phase 2, that make the change for biotech. Next. So what is about exosomes technology? The exosomes are small nanoparticles that we derive them from the cells that we are using, the MSC adipose cells that we have the technology and the material itself that we produce in GMP condition. And then we take this MSC and centrifuge it, take out the exosomes, and the exosomes are not alive cells like the MSC, but they can penetrate the BBB, and they can also include pharmaceutical ingredient that can be penetrated to the BBB. Next. So what you see here is a test that was done in Tel Aviv University, Professor Offen, that you take the exosomes, cover them with the gold particles, not enough gold, to make money, but gold enough to detect in the brain. And then you can see that the exosome can come to the scales, to the point of that you can see the stroke, the Parkinson, the Alzheimer, TBI, and autism. As the exosomes can be delivered system, and by the way, they can give also some type of treatment that was proved in animal studies. Next. So what is the technology about exosomes? We take the MSC that come from adult stem cells that we take from the hospital from volunteers that we build the stocks of stem cells. We do a centrifugation purification system that is patented for the MSC, and then the exosome can penetrate by nasal to the brain and penetrate the BBB that can be used for neurologists, anti-cancers, autism, even for COVID-19. We have a patent to do together with the CD20 that can cure COVID. Was not proved, of course, yet in human. And then what very interesting way of using the exosome that's going, I believe, to be breakthrough in the next 10 years is the loaded exosome. You start the same, you take the MSC, you make purification, and then with our technology, we take molecule from other company or from your company or from another company. It can be antibody or small molecule, and it can be included in the exosomes, and then it's going to be cargo exosomes. These molecules cannot penetrate the BBB by themselves because they're physical and chemical characteristics, but when are inside the exosomes, can penetrate the BBB. And this can be big achievement for big pharma, that you can take their antibodies or small molecules and treat MS, ALS, GBM, Alzheimer, Parkinson, and can be done with many new antibodies. Of course, each product, each indication, you have to invest a lot of money. Stem cell medicine, we have 3 patents, one for Parkinson, one for MS, and one for GBM, that we can prove that the exosome included, loaded with the small molecule and the antibodies, and it can penetrate the BBB, but it can be done with many molecules. And as you know, this is a technology that is going to be meaningful for the future in 10 to 20 years from now. Next. So I would like to go first for the first indication, autism. Why autism? First, this is the data that we bought from the Tel Aviv University. Many preclinical data were done and gave the proof of the concept of it. Second, autism, you have a special mice model of BT-BR, and you have the SHANK3, about 6% of the population that can be very good for clinical trials. And you can see the influence of the pure exosomes on vocalization, social interaction, bearing, and grooming and digging. You have to know that from every 40 subjects, one of them have autism, and it becomes very, very important indication to cure, but very difficult to have results because there are many kinds of autism. So the idea is to start with the SHANK3, and we have already located the subject to go for the phase 2, and we're just waiting, for what? Just for investment. Next. So going for the small molecule, this small molecule for SM1 for remyelination, MS, it was developed, and we bought it from Ichilov, the main hospital in Israel, that was developed by Professor Carney. Mapi Pharma and Stem Cell Medicine both have many products for MS and in phase 3, etc. But this small molecule is targeted to cure the myelin. And when you have the relapse of the MS, it can cure the myelin and can be made a big change in this MS to give not only to take care of the symptoms, but maybe to solve the problem. So all the big companies are looking for anti-BMP solution, and we found a small molecule that was proved to be proved in animals, yes, to cure the myelin, and we are ready to go for phase 1-2 for dosing and to see the curing effect on MS patients and to solve some of the issue of the disability of these young people. Next. The next in the list is the product based on stem cells by themselves, adult stem cells, stem cell SCM10 for secondary progressive MS. Why it is important? For relapsing remitting MS, we have a product in late phase 3 for Mapi Pharma that was financed with a big pharma by $100 million. And we are going to treat the relapsing remitting MS. It's once a month injection of GA. And we have another product for primary progressive MS, also in phase 2. But secondary progressive MS, it's 50% of the patient from relapsing remitting MS are going to come to secondary progressive MS that is going to be fast disability, no cure for this. So we have the stem SCM10 in autologous adipose-derived mesenchymal stem cells that affect the SPMs, and we can, in the future, also use it together with GA depot, because this gives about 35% of efficacy, and GA depot 35 efficacy, then together, unbelievably can give you 70% efficacy to be proved in phase 3. And the market, if you speak about money, for the market of the MS is 22 billion annual market. It's and this is very important to take care of. Next. So all these products, you need a special facility that is for GMP facility that can build, take this stem cells and create the API, as we call it, to take care of the indication. And in this room, you do also the purification of the exosomes. There is a few companies in the world that have facility of GMP for exosomes and stem cells. And this facility is ready for phase 3 and also for the market. Next. So what is our business plan highlights? We would like to raise about $10 million for exosomes for autism and the anti-BMP for MS clinical study. Why it is important? Because big pharma are ready to go with that, but they say the proof of the pudding is on you. You have to show that you have some clinical results and not only preclinical data, and that you have to take the risk. This is the risk for investors. We do the phase 2 in Israel for one product. It can cost between $2 to $5 million for 2 years. And then later, we would like to raise another 20 million because we have other programs that I did not speak about them in this short presentation. But when, because to go for loaded exosome, that is the future of the biopharmaceutical, you have to invest a lot of money per exosomes, per indication, per molecule, etc. We have also 2 options for spinning off cosmetic, as we already have everything ready for marketing, but we are not a cosmetic company. And we are looking also to do a spin-off maybe for the anti-BMP. And also we have know-how to give it to food companies for future food based on stem cells. We are going to be in continuous discussion with leading pharmaceutical companies which are showing interest, but will enter only when we have the pre-IND and some clinical data. We are leading a pharmaceutical company to be partners for loaded exosome. It can be per country, per product, per antibodies, and it can be local and global. And of course, for the anti-BMP, we are discussing also with Chinese companies for licensing the technology, because stem cells you cannot do in Israel, send them to China, it does not work. So we have the know-how how to do this tech transfer with, like in Mapi Pharma, we raised about $30 million from Chinese company. We can have the change about the future of company after having results of the phase 2 data in, I believe, in 2 years. Next. you know, when you speak about market, the sky is the limit, you know, a lot of money, but far away, and that you see that how the market is. So we have like a market of 2 CMO products that we are making money, that we have already sell in Golimod and Primalast. We have the market of 2 billion for the exosomes for autism. The loaded exosomes is the sky of the limit. It's 2 to 4 billion, can be 40 billion. Gene therapy, I did not mention it in the first slide because it needs also investment in the facility, but it's a big market for neurological diseases. The anti-BMP is for MS, is a huge market. And like stem cells for SPMS is the same, also the market. Of course, be that we can start with this autism and we can start with anti-BMP and then it come later the other products. And some of them, of course, we have to do the spin-off. It's too much for a small company. Next. Just few words about my second company, Mapi Pharma, that is connected, that I'm the CEO and chairman of both company. And I'm for this company, I raised about $200 million already. Next. And you see that we have pipeline for product. Most of this product is 505(b)(2) or generic product based on depot technology. You take injections for 1 a day, convert it 1 a month to 1 every 3 months and 1 every 6 months. All the 4 product in this, one of them in phase 3, 2 waiting for phase 3, and the semaglutide is the biggest product in the future. That is going to be 14 billion in 2028 for diabetic, weight control, and Parkinson. And we have our patent for 1 a month, 1 every 3 months. Below, you can see all the Q generic depot products that are ready for licensing or for going for a generic market with the patent. To develop a product for depot 505(b)(2) can cost you $100 million per product. Developing generic product from this can cost you $7 million. And as we are a balanced company, we are looking for partners. Next. This is the future pipelines of Mapi Pharma that like Botox once a year, that can be a great product in the market. And then you can see others for schizophrenia and for diabetic that are ready for a collaboration. As I said, to have this product in the market is very expensive. And we have also AB-rated new product for naloxone and aripiprazole that are cheaper to do, and they get a lot of interest from partners. So what we are saying about this product, the depot, we can take every injection product that a big pharma has, that's once a day, once a week, we can convert it with our know-how to be once a month, once every 3 months. We are not going to be CMO or CRO, just to be partners. And we are one of the leading company in the world for this because we have the technology and we have 45,000 square feet of aseptic production in Jerusalem ready for such a production. So that is lack of R&D in the world, lack of production places for aseptic production. And we can be a good partner. Of course, for investors, they can join Mapi. The valuation is very high. It's a private company. Or they can join to invest per project and to add the benefit per project. Because when you go for phase 3, you have to finance the cost of the phase 3. You have the cost of the production and registration, etc. So we can build a mechanism of investment per product. Next. That's about myself, founder of this company. I was a CEO of Matricelf, the biggest agrochemical companies, generic in the very big company. And I built for them the pipeline took from the pharmaceutical world to the agrochemicals, composition products. And before that, I was a VP in Teva Pharmaceutical. I took Teva Copaxone from the clinical trials to the market. It makes for Teva $40 billion. I was CEO of Gamidacel, that was from scratch. It made IPO and passed a good phase 3 data for the FDA. And I collected to my companies the best engineers and scientists and employees from other countries in Israel to create something important to create Mapi Pharma as a new Teva few years from now. So stem cell medicine is a company between 15 employees. Mapi Pharma is about 100 employees, and this is a big company in the size of Israel. So thank you very much for being with me. If you need.
Thank you. I have very nice pitch. In the meantime, during your session, there are several more offline participants also join. 네, 오늘 저기 그 발표 중에 또 추가로 오셔서 네, 감사드립니다. 혹시 저기 지금 마피파마 스템셀 메디슨 발표 보시고 질문 있으시면은 질문해 주시면은 여기 전달 드리겠습니다. 네. 뭐 다른 질문은 없는 것 같고요. 예, 그 추후에 또 질문 있으시면 말씀해 주시면 제가 전달 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 다음으로는 알가헬스에서 발표를 하겠습니다. 이란, the floor is yours.
First of all, good morning, good afternoon in Korea, and thank you for having me today. I'm going to talk about AlgaHealth, and just a minute. Okay. So AlgaHealth is a biotech company working to revolutionize the production of ingredients from microalgae through unique ultra productive strains and a unique approach, unorthodox in this in the microalgae business. We're starting with a unique high value product based on a carotenoid called fucoxanthin, addressing the obesity and the weight management market, which is a huge market valued at over $200 billion today. We've started sales last year with significant growth. We have our own full production facility capability, and our process is patent protected with unique algae strains and innovative processes that were developed by AlgaHealth. First of all, the R&D. Our R&D approach is to enhance the microalgae itself. Aside from increasing the yield of the process, we're addressing the biotechnology of the microalgae itself, increasing the content of the ingredient inside the microalgae using very high-end biotechnology with our partners in Volcani Research and in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Also, our process will be developed to include AI and real-time sensing, so that the production is also very efficient, far more efficient than production facilities today. As I said, our process is patent protected. It's been granted last year in Australia, Japan, and the US, also in Mexico and India, and it's pending in Korea and in other territories. We have a production facility ready to produce for annual sales of over $30 million a year. And our extraction process, which is unique, includes non-organic solvent. In our industry of nutraceuticals and cosmetics, organic solvents pose a problem for the final product, and our process does not include any organic solvent. It's a first in this industry. The fucoxanthin itself is a carotenoid that has been studied for about 20 years. I've included here only 2 samples of the functions that can be derived or delivered from fucoxanthin. It promotes liver health. It promotes the reduction of adipose tissue, and through that, the reduction of risk of diabetes and cardiovascular issues. It's also a very strong antioxidant and helps to promote skin lightening. It helps to promote skin recovery after UV protection, which is our major issues today. Also, our approach includes a strong environmental improvement. Fucoxanthin today is produced from seaweed, from macroalgae, in an extremely inefficient and environmentally unfriendly way. By producing it from microalgae, because of the higher concentrations that we can deliver, we can reduce significantly the environmental footprint of the production by a factor of up to 100. We can deliver unlimited supply year-round versus a seasonal production. And as I said, the production itself is extremely efficient. It's contaminant-free from end to end. It's already grown in GMP certified and processes. A little bit about our product development. Actually, we've started sales last year with our MVP, which is our microalgae biomass to nutraceutical manufacturers in the US. Next, this year we're launching our dermazanthin product, which is a product based on fucoxanthin for the cosmetics industry. And later this year, nutrizanthin, which is based on the same fucoxanthin formulated for the nutraceutical industry. These are formulations that are standard with specific specs to address these products. So you can have dermazanthin as an ingredient in a cosmetics product to lighten skin or to add to a skin recovery product, and nutrizanthin into nutraceuticals for weight management, for liver health and other issues. Also, nutrizanthin in the next step will be formulated to be added to actual food products. So we can go to food companies, to large food companies, and start adding our product to actual food products. So if you want your cheese, if you want your hamburger, if you want your probiotic to have additional value, to have additional function, you can add nutrizanthin to that product. Next year we're going to start on specific formulation that will be clinically validated. We're going to run our own clinical trials and introduce new compounds into the market. And starting on, we hope in 2025, we will develop other products based either on this microalgae or the next microalgae using the technology that has been developed. The development of microalgae enhancement can be ported. It's not microalgae. It's not strain specific. So the techniques that we use to enhance the ingredients in our microalgae can be ported and can be adapted to use in the next microalgae. The production of ingredients of specific ingredients for microalgae is a large issue in the microalgae today. The production of biomass is pretty much under control today, and there are a lot of companies that do it and do it very well. But the technology of increasing the ingredient inside the microalgae is still a challenge in this industry. Most of the industry addresses it with either light wave manipulation and other environmental factors. But we think that if you start with a higher, on a higher step, that the ingredient itself is a higher content inside the microalgae, every manipulation that comes after that increases it even further. And this is where we're concentrating our efforts. Yeah. A little bit about our team. I'm the CEO with over 20 years experience in business development and industrial production. Our two founders, Dr. Rana Elon and Hagai Tzur, are microalgae veterans. They've both worked, Hagai Tzur as the CEO and Dr. Rana Elon as the CTO of Alga Technologies in Israel, which is Israel's leading microalgae company. It has been sold up to today. It has been sold twice for a valuation of over $100 million. Our chairman Omer Geva is an experienced entrepreneur with exits and IPOs under his belt, and we're a small dedicated team working on inside the microalgae to improve its content. Now we're funding a pre-A round of $2 million that, like I said, we're going to use to advance the super efficiency of our microalgae with our research partners, advance regulatory compliance. Today we have FDA approval, so we can sell in the US. We can introduce our product into the Southeast Asian market, Korea, Japan, and China. We're going to do our clinical trials and, of course, increase sales growth. Again, thank you very much for having me today, and I'm open to your questions.
Thank you, Iran. 혹시 알가헬스에 질문 있으실까요? 네, 다른 질문 없으시면은 다음 업체 아모피칼 발표를 하도록 하겠습니다. So Eden, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Just share my screen. Hi, my name is Eden from Amorphical, and I will present you what we are doing today. So I will start with our leadership team. Yossi Ben is an entrepreneur and CEO of the company. Yigal Bloom is the VP R&D of the company. He managed the entire nanoparticle field at SRI in the United States, considered one of the world's greatest experience in the field of nanoparticle. Lior Reiblein, he was the chairman and CEO of Superpharm, the largest pharmacy chain in Israel. Yafit Stark, previously VP Global Clinical Development in Teva Pharmaceutical, and she has managed all Teva Medicine Clinical and Regulation. And Gior Ofer has been the CEO of Discount Bank in Israel for many years. Today manage venture capital funds that invest already in Amorphical. We have more researchers and people spread over the world that we're working with. The whole story starts from that. All the crayfish in the world is replacing their shell. Seawater lobster takes 3 to 4 weeks. In seawater, this crayfish has all the minerals it needs from the environment. This lobster that you see here, this crayfish, lives in sweet water and replaces his shell in 3 days only. It means that he's replaced 40% of his body weight in 3 days instead of 3 weeks. Before he started to replace his shell, he changed something in his body that allows him to take the calcium and the carbonate from the food he ate and store it in a different way that exists in the nature from what we know. As you can see in the X-ray, for 11 days, he does this process. And after 11 days, when he's ready, he takes off his shell, and for 3 days, he uses it, and he used what's called amorphous calcium carbonate and build his new shell from it. Today, we have a factory that we synthesize this mineral, and we can produce it by ourselves. And as you can see from the compression, our ACC, amorphous calcium carbonate, the size is nanometric compared to the crystalline calcium carbonate, which is a micron size. Our ACC is 1 million times smaller in volume, and because of the amorphous shape that is so unique, and this small size particle, its solubility is 120 times higher, allowing it to break down easily in the human body. After being tested in a clinical trial, the observation of it is up to 4.6 times more than regular crystalline calcium carbonate. You can see the difference between the particle size here. The exciting thing here is that you can see that our substance, the ACC, can enter the particle into the blood, float in the blood, and once it meets an inflammatory area with a lower pH than normal, it's break down and the carbonate becomes bicarbonate, which is the human body natural buffer for inflammation. This is how this ACC adjusts the pH level back to normal. And this is how the body treats inflammation. Today, the company have 124 patents application. 67 have been approved in major countries around the world. Another 57 are in process, and the patents are divided as you can see here follow. The production, how we produce the material, in what different methods, and the form of administration, if it's in a cream, liquid for inhalation or injection, powder, tablets, capsule, and more, for different type of disease, skin disease, inflammatory disease, cancer, bone problem, and more, and the combination of existing drugs. Hypoparathyroidism. Hypoparathyroidism is a disorder of the thyroid gland that impairs the activity of the hormone PTH. The hormone that regulates the calcium level in the blood. People who suffer from this disease must take large amount of calcium to stay alive and have severe side effects. Hypocalcemia is a calcium definition and can range from mild cases to severe life-threatening crises. The current standard of care including oral calcium and vitamin D supplements. There is one drug that approved in the FDA, and the drug's work of the idea of synthesize the hormone PTH. The drug given by injection twice a day, and the patients also need calcium and vitamin D supplement that have been used until now. They show in phase 3 that they lowered 69% of the patient to the 50% of the amount of the calcium they have been taking before. The drug can be given for limited time because it's a sphere from osteosarcoma, and it costs $100,000 per patient per year. In a clinical trial, we reduce 100% of the patient and show their calcium level in the blood remains stable when the amount they took decreased by at least 50% of the amount they had taken before. Our treatment is just replacement of the standard calcium supplement that patients are taking today. The treatment with our product is safe and unlimited in time. The price per patient will be between $20,000 to $30,000 per year. Amorphical is in this point. At number 3, you can see we did already the basic stuff in the first phase clinical, phase 1. We have an open IND with the FDA to continue to phase 2 and 3. Amorphical is fundraised for this $8 million to complete the drug approval. The market for this disease is $6 billion. but Amorphical aimed to enter to a large market after this approval. Today, one of the most common diseases in the world is osteoporosis. We believe that after we approve this drug, which is calcium replacement for calcium, we could also sell our medicine as an off-label drug for osteoporosis, because today the usual treatment is calcium and vitamin D supplement, when the global market of osteoporosis is $40 billion. Cancer. I will explain you what we are doing in cancer. So today, as you know, existing treatment is chemo, radiation, surgery, and biologics. And as we know, the cancer market, it's $130 billion. So what's common of most cancer is 90% of them is decrease of the pH level in the cell environment, which cases three things. First of all, the first one is block the immune system. The second one is create blood vessels. And the third one is an enzyme called catepsin get out of control and spread the cancer. In normal times, the job of the catepsin is to evacuation of dead cell in our body. Every day, the human body replaces millions of cells in a state where the pH is out of control, out of normal, it's lose control. When there are acidosis in some area in the body, the process of bicarbonate is to naturalize the pH level to normal as a natural process. When there is failure in the system, the body cannot do it by itself. With the technology of the ACC, the carbonate reaches to the cancer cell environment, become bicarbonate, and stabilize the pH level back to normal. It's allowed the body to return the mechanism to normal to work. In this trial, in this preclinical trial, we can see in cancer mice, the black line is without treatment, the green is with the ACC, the gray is cisplatin, which is the most common chemotherapy today. And the third one is the blue one is the combination of ACC and cisplatin. You can see the difference between the different treatment, and the combination of cisplatin and ACC has the best results. Also, the literature talking about that in normal pH level environment, chemotherapy can work much, much better. Amorphical conduct a lot of in vitro and in vivo preclinical study related to the ACC effects on cancer, and it showed that ACC reduced the tumor growth rate, ACC reduced the mortality rate, and impressed the activity of cases of metabolic breast cancer. ACC also reduced the catepsin B activity and back it to normal. And ACC activate immune system against cancer cell. We have all this trial already been done. Amorphical is going to perform a clinical trial on 30 patients here in Israel. The trial will be done on prostate cancer patient with bone metastases. The trial will check the functioning on improvement, prostate free survival, and overall response rate. Amorphical actually till today treats thousands of compassionate patients in Israel with different viruses of types of cancer and at different stages. Till today, the results show how the ACC significantly improved the health of the condition of the patient, many of them to the point they recover. Till now, much of the work needed to develop the drug has already been done. We currently fundraising 10 million for the phase 2 clinical trial and 40 million for the phase 3 clinical trial. The global market of cancer is $130 billion, and only the prostate cancer market is $36 billion. Today, Amorphical, with our facilities, with our factory, we sell globally 4.4 million US, a supplement, making the company profitable with growth every year. This gives the company the ability to continue to operate and do some more researches. This month, we launched 2 more new products in Israel, and we are sure it will give the company another boost of sales and cash flow. So Amorphical is fundraising for hypoparathyroidism, $8 million US. After that, we plan to go to IPO we need $2 million, and then we want to continue to cancer, so we need $24 million US. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eden. 혹시 질문 있으실까요? 네. 그러면은 마지막으로 마트리셀프의 아삽 토커 대표님 발표가 있으셨습니다. 아삽 토커 대표님은 지금 한국에 와 계셔서 지금 이 현장에서 바로 발표를 하실 수 있도록 하겠습니다. Slide.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Matricelf is an Israeli biotechnology company in the area of regenerative medicine and tissue engineering. And the problem that we are trying to solve is the fact that every 30 minutes, somebody in the world dies when he's waiting for an organ transplant. But more important than this, there are millions of patients who are suffering from what we call tissue-related diseases, like diabetes, Parkinson's, myocardial infarction, liver failure, and many, many other tissue-related diseases in which a tissue damage leads to a chronic disease that usually has a huge economic, social, and medical burden. And the holy grail of those diseases, the best solution is tissue engineering. You have a damaged tissue, let's replace it with a new and a functioning tissue. And when we talk about tissue engineering, we basically need 2 main ingredients. We need cells on one hand, and we need extracellular matrix on the other hand, on which the cells actually build the tissue and create a functioning tissue. And there are many companies that are doing tissue engineering, but most of them use either synthetic materials for their scaffolding or use allogeneic cells, meaning cells from a different person. And our human body is an amazing machine. It usually understands that there is a foreign object in the body, and it triggers the immune response that eventually leads to tissue and organ rejection. What is unique about Matricelf solution is that we are producing complete autologous implants in which both the cells and the matrix are coming from the patient themselves. And we do it by taking a small biopsy from the patient's omentum, which is a fatty tissue, intra-abdominal, out of which we create extracellular matrix in a form of a personalized hydrogel. We take cells from the peripheral blood, reprogram them to become induced pluripotent stem cells. We then introduce the stem cells back into the hydrogel, and within the gel, we differentiate the cells to become whatever tissue we want it to be. So at the end, we have a 3D liquid form tissue that we can use either for 3D printing, or we can use it to create micro droplets of tissues that we can either inject or simply place on the injured side. And we already know how to create cardiac tissues that you can see that they contract like a heart. Under a microscope with specific markers, they look like a cardiac tissue should look like. They respond physiologically to stimuli with norepinephrine like a cardiac tissue should respond. They have specific structures like a cardiac tissue. Over here, you see calcium channels that are only specific to cardiac tissue. And we can basically take this patch, apply it on the injured site of the heart following a myocardial infarction. It integrates into the cardiac muscle. And we already shown in mice that we improve the ejection fraction, the contractility of the left side of the heart. But the main problem with those patches is that in order to place them on the heart, we need to open the chest. And this is why our solution of a hydrogel, which is liquid at room temperature and solidified at 37 centigrade, is an ideal solution, because now we can take this tissue and simply inject it into the injured site. Like you see over here, again, this is an open surgery just to show you that we basically inject the tissue into the heart. And we already shown in those pigs that we improved the ejection fraction of those pigs. Once we have a 3D liquid form tissue, we can take it a step further and start printing tissues. And over here, you see the printing of the same cardiac patch that you saw earlier in a Petri dish. Now it is being printed from a 3D printer. And you can see that it is printed not only the cardiomyocytes, but also the blood vessels. And at the end, we get a patch that we can basically lift. We can inject blood into it, and you can see the blood flows in the blood vessels. You can see that it is a living tissue contracting, and you can see the blood vessel here and here. And when you look at the blood vessels, they have endothelial cells, they have lumen, so it is a blood vessels like a blood vessel should look like. In 2019, we even took it a step further, and for the first time in human history, we printed the first ever human printed heart. And what we actually do now in the lab is we teach those hearts how to function as a heart. So you can see here the printed heart, and you see the cardiac rhythm goes through the heart. And we even already implant those hearts, which you see here, on a rat gut. And just teaching it to function as a heart. But as I said in the beginning, we don't only print organs, we also create micro droplets of organs. Every drop that you see up there is a small drop of tissue. And the cells that are inside this drop, we know how to differentiate them to whatever tissue that we want to create. So for example, we can create cortical implants for focal brain injuries. We can create dopaminergic implants for Parkinson's disease. We can create retinal implants for age-related macular degeneration. And basically, we can create any tissue that we want. But the main focus of our company at this stage, and the first indication that we are taking to the market, is spinal cord injury. Spinal cord injury is a devastating disease that leads to paralysis, leads to loss of motor, sensor, and autonomic functions. Those people are usually in a wheelchair with no ability to function. And there are thousands of patients every year only in the United States, and globally there are millions of patients with spinal cord injury, very expensive disease to treat. And unfortunately, today, there is no curative solution. There are several non-curative solutions to fix the spine, but none of them is a curative solution that will make people regain their functions. And we do exactly the same. We take a biopsy from the patient, create the extracellular matrix in the form of a hydrogel. We create the cells, reprogram them into induced pluripotent stem cells, integrate them together, and create neural implants that we would like to implant back in the patients. And when I say neural implants, these are small 3D beads that when you look under a microscope, they are three-dimensional functioning neural networks with neurons inside them, with extracellular matrix that actually changes its properties to become a neural scaffold as we proceed with the differentiation time. And when you look at the implants, you can see that they actually send out neurons to basically connect with each other, like you see here. And when we tried it on animals, this is what we saw. Over here, you see mice with a spinal cord injury. You can see that he is limping. And on a catwalk that actually measures the pressure that he is applying on the surface, you can see that one leg is not functioning. When we use Matricelf neural implants, all the mice regain their walking ability. And this work was recently published at Advanced Sciences in the January edition. We also did some usability studies with neurosurgeons on pigs. And you can see here the spinal cord. And you can see here the damaged area with our implants actually filling in and replacing the injured spine. We did a pre-IND meeting with the FDA last March and basically aligned our R&D program according to the pre-IND. We are a publicly traded company at Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. We recently moved to a new lab in Nes Ziona, right next to Tel Aviv. And as I said, moving towards first human clinical trial towards the end of 24, beginning of 25. We have an amazing team of both scientists, managerial staff, and also financial personnel. We have a great board of directors with very well-known directors, and also an international scientific advisory board with people from Johns Hopkins, the NIH, Harvard Stem Cell Institute, Bayer Pharmaceuticals, and University of California, San Diego. A short movie of what we do. So with a great team and an amazing technology, but more importantly, with a lot of motivation from patients all over the world, including from Korea that approach us. And we are currently their only hope to regain their motor functions and sensory function and autonomic function. We believe that we are crazy enough to change the world. And thank you very much for having me here in Seoul. Thank you.
If there are any questions to Asaf, you're welcome to ask. Thank you, Asaf. 네, 마지막 순서 마트리셀프로 마지막으로 금일 세미나는 여기서 종료를 하겠습니다. 추가로 질문 있으시거나 하시면은 저한테 메일로 문의를 주시거나 저한테 연락을 주시면은 제가 업체 쪽에다가 또 연락을 드리도록 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 네, 오늘 바쁘신데도 불구하고 귀하신 시간 내어주셔서 오늘 참여해 주셔서 감사드립니다. 감사합니다. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.